China's diplomatic strategy is working and winning. Hello again, people. SkyWalker here to put a new perspective on world affairs. Let us talk about China and China's strategy to gain or share the inheritance of foreign lands and foreign resources belonging to others. The rhetoric goes around that China is not interested in colonization. This is far from the truth. The fact that they are socialite minded does not draw from the fact that they demonstrate capitalist minds as well. If China was thinking of sharing and owning these foreign shores and resources, it would be by way of having their citizens naturalized to these states and influentially increasing their numbers in them. Howbeit, it would have subtle undertones and way long term implications. Except for white people, China does not seem to demonstrate great tolerance for other races, and especially the black race that they find most need to exploit. This raises questions that China could mean to colonize, but only in a subtle way that is more effective than that of the white supremacists. The only white power that comes close to this method is Russia under Vladimir Putin. A look at Russia will give your head a dizzy to decide whether their intentions come with the desire for mutual benefits. For every time that other white nations point out a reason why Russia wants to be the villain in Africa, you see two or three reasons to beg to differ. Russia has socialite tendencies, and the greatest times of Earth's histories and in golden ages were at the times of the socialites. This has happened at the seesaw ebb and flow of perpetual motion for hundreds of thousands of years. The socialite structure is not as dictatorial as any capitalist system. It only seems so because of our vague understanding and definitions about its application. Our idea is that there is a ruler at the top. The true reality of it is that the leaders are in the center. There is no one at the top, and all are equals. This was how the ancient Christ, or Yeshua, which was corrupted to the shadow realm and to the Jesus system, led by a pope, is structured, as we will see today. I also explained the structure of governance which ruled the beacon societies in golden ages. When the Romans stole the light and turned it into God's spell, it became a system of capitalism. Having a ruler at the top, it became a demon instead of an agent of godlikeness. We don't want to stray from the topic, but this point also becomes relevant to all here. If I can explain this to you, hopefully in another video, you will see why the diviners had long proven the failures and biases of capitalism. In any capitalistic society, the leaders rule with sociopathic demon energies. You cannot be a capitalist ruler and not be sociopathic. Sociopathy is effectively the main character trait for the job. In fact, when you do business, law, or even sociology, one of the most important tenets of their teachings is that you must become a sociopath. And they do this without saying the exact words. Think on all the things you learn and tell me I am wrong. It can be no other way. Like you can't go to bird country and not see feathers. Recently, we saw America, Israel, and Russia casting word spells on each other, which Russia easily won. In fact, Israel, which is also a covert arm of America, imposed into the Middle East as fake Jews after the black folks that were the Jews were genocided in Germany. Reparations were given to the white people, even from as far as Poland, to snatch the black bodies of dead black Jews and imitate the legacy with their white selves in Israel. This was also a way of using the God spell. They turned the Jews into white and then went to demand the legacy of the Jews in Palestine on behalf of the black. Centuries after their same white selves cast these black people out of their own lands. So centuries after the white man cast black people out of Palestine, they were sending an imposed group of white people down there in the name of the same Jews that they had cast out centuries before to claim the legacy. So now, white folks were giving reparations on behalf of black people that were genocided by white folks. This was the only time that a black group of people were given reparations, but unfortunately, the reparations was given to a white people on their behalf. Plus, the reparation had to be completed by them becoming thieves and liars and murderers of people in their own lands. Black people really fear doing these ungodly things, so that reparation would never have worked anyway. These Jews that are not on the ground, that they were the body snatchers of Jews, these Jews that are not on the ground, that they were the body snatchers of Jews that are, would now be a fictitious Jewish enclave in Palestine who were not really Jewish but would act to help their white counterparts in Europe steal the rest of Africa. Plus, them being in Palestine, fighting for more land in Palestine, was the fact that they were already making grounds. And the legacy of being the Jews had other great works. And I should have said the word perks. The legacy of being the Jews had other great perks. The major one is that they literally owned the God spell. Sure, they hated Yesu or even Jesus, you might use that word, but they loved the God spell for its uses. No matter what, they could put one over on the Pope, who is not even the light bearer of the world, their body snatching brother, if they had to. So the Pope is their body snatching brother because he's snatching the energy in a different way. But they felt they could put one over on him if they had to because they would own Jesus, right, as being his brothers. Jesus was their brother, although they hated him. But who was the Pope to Jesus? I hope you understand me this far. Now, at a time when Africa wanted to be left alone, and the African traitor leaders were seeking new ways to help their European leaders exploit their people, Russia, like everyone else, wanted resources and came like true human beings to discuss. They came without genocides and serpentilism or serpentilism. It's a word I'm coining. I think you can understand what it means. Africa was obviously becoming fond of Russia to the envy of America. China came with full diplomacy and was, even with whatever hiccups, proving great mutual benefits between themselves and Africa. Even when the Niger leader disclosed that he would hold on to certain resources and let not China take the lead anymore, China passed the test with flying colors. They impressed that they were there for mutual benefits and not to steal or for unfair gains. The entire world was impressed. Now, the capitalist and white supremacist mentality of most capitalists, including black ones, went to a dizzy. Israel was busy genociding Arabs for our Arab lands that they came from Europe to claim and body snatch the Jews' body, snatch the Jews' souls to qualify for. But they could not stand Russia going into Africa. Not today, Jesus, they declared, although they did not like Jesus. We watched them over the years claiming to have Jewish DNA, but their laws prohibited them from testing. Otherwise, the world would know. Still, they kept hinting that maybe one or maybe some Africans were Jewish too. You know, they're working the gospel slowly, like they were giving these people a visa to be themselves by, I mean, since they already body snatched that legacy and owned it now, and they were on the verge of owning all of Palestine in the name of their black Jewish God, they made into white on their behalf so as to give them the right to steal the black legacy. It was Mia Mountley, just like Mia Mountley, leading Kenya leader, Jamaican leader, and Benin leader to be black on behalf, to be black on America white supremacist behalf, you know, so that America could go in and colonize and destroy Haiti on their behalf. So America would go in as Mia Mountley blackface, Kenya blackface, Andrew Holness blackface, and Benin leader blackface. And they would go in and colonize and destroy Haiti on the blackface's behalf. This is why I never say a damn thing about blackface gimmickry. How come we see these people's faces every day without saying a thing? The ancestors will surely pay them. They will never live a day that they will never forget this. With Russia seeming to make headway in Africa by using decency, Israel and their crony America began to scream hysterically that Russia was going to colonize Africa. Although Russia was not the one in Palestine or in Haiti, wicked Mia Motley. In fact, Russia was against the Asian invasion, have always been against the Asian invasion, and Russia only, even I think China too was against it, and I think they only stood down because of Mia Mountley blackface, Holness blackface, Benin leader blackface, Caribbean leaders blackface, Benin leaders blackface, all the black traitors of the world blackface. This is why, I mean, what could Russia do if all these blackfaces saying, okay, crucify him? What would Russia do? Say, don't crucify him, and Russia is white, and Chinese, and the black people want to crucify the black people? Oh boy. Poor Barbados. When you sell out Haiti, wicked Mia Mountley, you sell Barbados too. Poor Barbados, Jamaica, Kenya, and Benin to have to tell the ancestors that they produced these people. I hope they will go to their racist white ancestors too. These black faces being black. So what if a white man puts on blackface and can't do a thing more than that? All he can do is skip around and try to give you torment in envy because he is naturally a tormented being, and you should show him sympathy when he does it. Your leaders use their black faces to sell you for sacrifice and to sell nations of millions and billions over the eons. Those are the ones that must remove their black faces that offend us. My people, let me pause to remind you to subscribe to this channel, like and share this video. Keep abreast with these discussions. It is really good for thought. And it is food for thought. What a thing. It's really good for thought. It's really food for thought. Israel and the European countries pulled out a chessboard to defeat Russia and China. Maybe that type of chess was made in Russia though. I really love intelligence I was blown away by Putin's ability to read between the lines and discern, and I was impressed by his own counter strategies, checkmate after checkmate. There was one time when Israel decided to use the gospel to endear Africans and come across like family. For Africans are very superstitious, and a story of a skirted man in the belly of a whale will always impress them, especially if that guy was white. So Putin already knew the God's powers and how the God spell works. He went to his own archives and drew out Black Jesus. Then he declared it and announced that his Jesus was not the original black one. It was like all the missiles that were thrown at Palestine and bombs on Hiroshima combined fell down upon the skirted, long bearded turf of Israel. This was a verbal massacre. The entire Jewish subliminals was destroyed in that simple speech. No more power for Jews that are not Jews to use for God's spells. The Jewish government talks about coming to liberate Africans to play brotherly mind tricks with God spells was completely deleted by Putin's checkmate. Blasted the entire hard drive. Putin destroyed the God factor to expose the holy rods of the fake prophets. When Putin dropped the word as to who was a blackface who betrayed Gaddafi, it pointed to Africa's most serious threat, the enemy within. So he was subliminally destroying the enemy within effect. It also exposed the hypocrite that was warning Africa about Putin's intentions. It exposed a dirty, stinking frenemy that destroyed the brother who helped him, that African leader working with people like Black Obama. Black Obama is still with that blackface, mocking all Africans, acting like white supremacists love black skinned children with white blood in them. They call them bastards, man. But anyway, take off that blackface and stay with your white supremacist folks, Obama. They will love you. All you have to do is change your name from black to white Obama. One of Gaddafi's biggest mistakes was to trust black leaders that came acting like black freedom fighters. Some of the biggest traitors are those that lead by God spells of any religion, who can incite their congregations to take the pill, but cannot teach them to unite because their superstition is prejudice, and all prejudice is meant to divide. They behave like Miyamoto, zealous and sacrificing for black folks, but they are doing it to keep the trust going while they kiss them on the cheeks. When the celebrity comes to you preaching, all of a sudden he is going to sell your ass out. You can call this strategy blindsiding. For some, God's spells are a permanent blindside. Plus, it will gather to them a sheep flock that can divide the black masses in their area. Our real fighters use no God spells. Our real fighters were destroyed by black faces on behalf of white folks. Those that would testify lies against Marcus Garvey now run behind bearers of God spells. Now, let's talk about China in this game of chess. I doubt that China even knew that it would all turn out this way. China probably wanted to come in to third world countries with wealth and influence, make deals that seem fairly reasonable, and build eternal alliances with them as benefactors that would cause these desperate states to owe them eternally. By this, they would obtain enough offshore properties to subsidize the land and other diminishing resources of landlocked China. Wherever a Chinese buys a piece of property, it will be owned by Chinese for eternity. They will always sell back to Chinese. Plus, many of their deals will be paid for by land resources. This also creates more land space outside of China for Chinese residents. China's power is growing outside of China, even in terms of land and every resource you will think of. Let us observe, for example, the Chinese in Jamaica, and you already know that gleeful black leaders cannot negotiate cannot negotiate without selling the arses of their people, even if the other party didn't mind a fair deal. There was a time back in the days when China's presence in Jamaica was simply based on the fact that indentured workers came and soon found a business niche that they were good at. They invested, called in more investors from China, and became a powerhouse in Jamaica. What the Chinese forgot was that you are not considered indigenous to a country as an immigrant minority. The Indian communities are not anymore because now they are hardly discernible from blacks. The Chinese, as a minority of immigrants, started their own distasteful system of segregation in Jamaica, which, if any group of Africans would try in China, they would be creamed over. In fact, how would Africans even get in there in the first place or be allowed to prosper? The truth is that Chinese typically do not show respect to any outside race but to the white race. Being African in China is a no no, although you can still see the black of their origins in many Chinese. Their first strategy in Jamaica was self destructive, and they felt the rage of the people because of it. No race can truly say they were discriminated in any black population without them inciting it. I can say this definitively because as a black person, I know black people. At my age, decades later, I have never met a black person who is racist. I meet people who get angry on issues, but never a true core racist black person. I am still searching to find one. Chinese new strategy today is way more integrating, and now they are out in all walks of life. There will be a next hurdle to cross because this is also going to cause more friction. Jamaica's minimum wage is already too low by any world standard, and the Chinese threaten to keep it down. The Jamaican government is black, so obviously he will be willing to sell the entire Jamaica to China. China has hundreds of millions over there. That if 3 million Chinese ended up in Jamaica, China would not miss them. However, then Chinese would be the majority population. This is a new component to the Chinese strategy that is likely to come as a windfall. Follow the trajectory, and Chinese will at some point become the majority people in Jamaica. There will be no need for colonization. However, it will likely be a similar thing. As I said, the Chinese have that ability to hate others because of race or skin color. They do it to Chinese in China, black in Africa, and they sometimes expose it in Jamaica. How will a black Jamaican feel in a Chinese majority state? For this is imminent. It will work the same in some states of Africa as well. Many influential people, including the Minister of Security in Jamaica, have Chinese blood in them. Everything is playing into the hands of the Chinese, and they are picking up all the lands. Imagine if China decided to take a subtle approach to gain population numbers over a given period of time. A Jamaican passport is a powerful utility. A Chinese who has a Jamaican passport can go to China, marry and bring his or her spouse back to Jamaica. Chinese families can join Chinese in Jamaica legally, but imagine what they can do illegally. This is Jamaica. This is a black country. Dangle the money before the leader and say, sell your children. A plane load of Chinese can fly into the country under the watchful eyes of paid black politicians, and it can happen often enough to increase the number of Chinese inland fast. If the Jamaican government sees no need to control this at some degree, could it be a covert factor that we will look around soon and realize that the number of Chinese have skyrocketed to the degree that they feel secure in Jamaica? Only time will tell. And by the ineptitude of black leaders, do you see our government stopping the Chinese from eventually becoming the majority Jamaicans? Personally, what do I think of the Chinese? I love their enterprising mindsets. I love how they work as a community and how their leaders work intelligently to support them. I applaud them working for what is best for their people. In all negotiations, consider what our own leaders negotiated for us. Each judgment from hence will be authorized by God Himself. You will receive what you negotiated for. I admire the leaders of China and I have a lot of respect for the intelligence of Vladimir Putin of Russia, the greatest checkmater. Don't go to him with a chessboard or you will be embarrassed. Peace out.